Welcome to AABLI Board Talks, where we're pioneering change.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Nancy Harris, and I'm the Executive Director of the Faith Foster Families Network and proud AABLI alumni class number 5. Welcome to today's AABLI Board Talks. I am honored to be here today with Sarah Harris. And Sarah is the president of Sweet Events, a creative services and marketing firm, and also the publisher of Sweet Life SoCal Magazine. I'm honored to be here with Sarah today for the AABLI Board Talks, which is a stimulating online series of hosted interviews and independent discussions featuring African American professionals, board members, and former AABLI alum. So welcome today. Sarah, I'm so happy to have you here. One of the things that I wanted also to mention about Sarah before we get into our conversation is that she is also the board chair of the Forgiving for Living nonprofit corporation, which helps at-risk girls ages 13 through 18 with overcoming things such as low self-esteem, mental and behavioral problems, as well as just giving them an overall mentor to help them guide them through life. So Sarah brings a host of entrepreneurship to this session, as well as board experience, and I'm looking forward to chatting with her today. We're going to talk about creative strategies and creative services and marketing strategies for these turbulent times that we're in now, with not only the COVID environment, but also with unrest, social justice and unrest that's been going on, that only if COVID-19 was not the only thing we were dealing with.
Indeed.
We have to deal with what's going on with social unrest. So I'm excited to get into conversation with Sarah. And so Sarah, I'm gonna kick it over to you for a minute to just reintroduce yourself again and expand a little bit about, and tell us a little bit more about yourself and expand upon what I just discussed.
Thank you so much, Nancy. It's a pleasure to be here, and I thank you for participating. Today, I am here as an entrepreneur, but also a board member, like you said, for Forgiving for Living. As an entrepreneur, I started out with working actually with my sister, Wendy Gladney,
Yes,
who at the time was doing events, many events throughout the community. And with my working with her for almost about over 20 years, when that started, I got to be able to meet and know people and from a community point of view. And from there, I stemmed off and started my own graphic design company, which is Sweet Events, and providing many creative services for my clients. And so in doing that, I saw that one of the things was having to know what's going on and where to find it at. And I started two publications. The first one I started called Save the Date, and that was 2000. And essentially, it started out mainly as a calendar of events. And it grew to a full, high-end, well-received art magazine, and we did that for about 9 years. And then I focused on my creative services for graphic design, but I've always had a love for featuring people, getting to know people, profiling what they do, all of the good stuff that we do. And so that's when now last year this time. So I have my anniversary for Sweet Life SoCal Magazine.
Congratulations.
And that was the inaugural issues with Ryan and Jessica, who are owners of Harold and Bell's restaurant. And since then, I've had Danita Willoughby, who's now the board chair of the LA Chamber of Commerce, Ernest Wooden Jr., who's the CEO of LA Tourism and Board, and even anchors from Spectrum News One. So had a variety of nice profile features, but we also have a resource directory. And so that's part of why we're like talking here today, because it's important for people to know the different resources and creative ways they can express themselves, get the word out, and forward the mission on what they're trying to do to accomplish for the community that they serve. So that's what basically here in a nutshell over what I do.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And on that note, as I said earlier, these are very trying times. And these times have afforded nonprofits and other organizations the push to be able to be more creative and figuring out how to reach the populations that they serve, as well as an entrepreneur line, reaching clients in a different way. It's forced us all to be more creative and look at how we're going to continue our missions in spite of not being able to touch one another. So I want you to comment a little bit on that, and in the fact that all of us have been forced to reevaluate our scenarios. And so how we operate, again, how we provide services to our population. What are 3 key points that you have noticed over the last 3 months that you want to share with the audience about how to maneuver in these times and how to still retain your creative edge, as well as, again, making sure you're carrying out your mission and your purpose?
3 months have been a very trying time for a lot of people, I know. I myself, in what I do related to events, everything came to a screeching halt. And so when you talk about just a new reality and this new normal kind of thing, for me, it hit me hard. So just a lot of soul searching and thinking about it. But what I've seen is that with both the pandemic and the uprising and the protests and all the social consciousness coming to the fore, to me that I am an optimistic person, and I'm believing that this is the tides are coming in and everything, and they're starting to roll, and the change is happening.
Yes.
What encouraged me is that the protests and now the voice are reverberating is sustaining itself. And so with that being said, I believe that we have a lot more opportunities coming to be. And in that regard, I think that nonprofits need to be on the forefront of that and foretell what those changes are. For me, I see that it's a lot of the stuff, the progressive stuff in terms of related to the green tech or the green environment,
Yes.
the sustainability kinds of stuff, be it the also economic empowerment, the kinds of things that will really be, instead of top down, it's bottom up. I think that we can really get to that point. So therefore, it's going to be a lot of policies, funding, programs, and I think the more that nonprofits, boards can identify those kind of things coming through the pipeline and happening, the more that will be on tap for that. The other thing is related to that. I think that more now than ever, we have to support locally and Black-owned businesses. There is a group that before the pandemic even happened, they were forming but they are really coming into being. I know that people hear a lot more about them, but they're called the Black Table. And they're a group of Black event professionals.
Mhm.
And part of the reasons why they formed was because Nipsey Hussle passed away. It went to a white event planner. And so that was where, wasn't keeping it within the community. And so I'm thinking that we really have to support our own. And there's I'm encouraged to see a lot of entrepreneurs coming with different types of products and services and businesses. One is the Blackbird House in Culver City, um, where it's a co-working environment, but it's also a place where you can have events or you can come and collaborate. It's a place where they will, host different things for you to allow you to be able to collaborate more. Um, the other thing that I see is, to me, youth are leading the way and they are the answer for a lot of what we're doing. I think that we older, more seasoned people need to be more open, receptive, allow them to express their ideas and listen to them and take them to heart. And in some cases, allow them to lead the way.
Yes.
Because they are pushing more than ever. And when we talk about being creative, and they have the pulse on everything. And it's not just because, oh, they know social media, but it just seems like they were born into knowing how to do all of this.
This is true. And it's exactly that. They were born.
We need to
this is
listen
what
to
they
them.
know.
Exactly. I saw on Steve Harvey's show, he was interviewing the youth that were leading for against gun violence. And on their T-shirts, they had an American flag, but the box where the stars were, it was actually a QR code. So what you do with QR codes, you hold your phone up and you scan it. Well, that was their way to not only market, but also it was an activation, because when you scan it, it leads people to a site where they can register to vote. Their mission is to get as many young people registered to vote. I thought that was just fabulous.
Yeah, that
was brilliant. Yes, and it's that kind of thing, is that those out of the box, and just simple, get a T-shirt, put a QR code, and you go on TV, you're reaching millions. And so I just thought that was amazing. So I just really think that we really need to listen to our youth. We need to understand where their ideas are coming from and take those to heart for that. The other thing is that we need to, I said in the beginning, we need to stretch ourselves. We're in a new world, and we need to be able to open ourselves up to learn more. And also knowing that going back to what we did before is not going to be the way to go. And especially my main mindset is around events, is because what I do, it's what my world is. And I know that is going to change. A lot of what we probably need to think about more is more the virtuals will stay, not as prevalent as now, but I think that a hybrid of the virtual and the in-person real life, those kinds of events will start to come to the forefront. Because you will also, with the virtual, you instantly have a global audience, Right. So you don't want to give that up either. And that increases your reach, 10,000 fold, depending on what kind of viewership you can bring in. So I'm thinking that people need to start thinking about if they're going to do the real in-person events, you should maintain some type of virtual aspect to them.
That's very good advice. That's excellent advice, because I know a lot of our nonprofits, including mine, A lot of what we do, especially as it's in terms of fundraising, are tied to live in-person events.
Hmm.
So I like what you're saying about, yes, we know right now we're deeply in this virtual world, but that hybrid. Can you talk a little bit more about that hybrid?
Yes, indeed. And I've thought about this sometime before when hosting events or something where it's part of what I feel is what people need to collaborate and keep that connection going on because a lot of people are making connections be outside of their normal sphere of influence. And I think to keep that going, you can have, say, you have an event here in LA, but you have a sister organization or business or something like that in another city or what have you, you can have those if they're hosting there in their city, you can have that virtual wall up where you're able to connect with them in real time and see what's going on, what the voices are saying in that city or whatnot. They have these walls where you can interact
Literally
now,
a wall,
a video wall,
a
you
video
know,
wall. Yes,
where it is, it shows the people at the other city,
I see.
you know what I'm saying? And it's in real time and you can connect with them in that regard. That's one way to do a virtual. The other thing to do a virtual is to continue the streaming. You have your events, continue the streaming on Facebook or YouTube or what have you. That allows people who aren't able to attend to still be able to attend. A lot of things that are, as far as fundraising is happening now is the mobile calls where at the event itself, people, they have this competition going on and people
Right.
are able to like pitch in and donate it right then where you can have donate on your video or your website or something during the streaming and that increases your opportunity to be able to fundraise
Yes.
for that. So when I say the value in the hybrid is because that virtual element allows you to expand your reach and to be able to get more of a participation in a wider audience than you normally would. Because you never know where the interest is going to come from, and that you open yourself up for that.
That's great. Those are great suggestions because, again, in these challenging times, we're all looking for new ways to reach out and stay supplying and supporting and offering the services that we need
Hmm.
to our populations. Sarah, have you noticed anything in terms of the social unrest? Have you noticed any impacts this has had on marketing? Or any creativity that we can glean from that that can help many of us with our missions and again servicing services to our population.
I've seen so much in terms of, I love what they do in terms of when they spray painted or painted Black Lives Matter on the boulevard. And
Mhm.
it was just
Yes,
huge as day. And it was just like it was there and you could not get around it.
right.
Those kinds of things and stuff. The social unrest, it also you start now getting all of you, the discussion is going and so you're getting all of these ideas for different policies and stuff and so there are many nonprofits many organizations that they have their mission is right in there right and so but they see where the direction or how um, it's starting to formulate and come together. I think more now, more so now than ever, that boards need to make sure that their voices are heard while all of this is coming together. Um, what I'd like to see is because what I'm concerned about is like when we have the elected officials, they scurrying and getting these different laws and policies pulled together and stuff, you know. But how wide are they casting the net for ideas and input to come into that, because we don't want to get down the line where uh, we have this opportunity now, but because of trying to rush to get it done or what have you, you haven't yet fully heard all of the voices and stuff. And so I would stress, like, board members making sure that the voices are heard. Reach out to Representative Karen Bass and Kamala Harris and any of our other representatives, and make sure that what the services that you provide and how you can help in terms of the resources that you bring to the table, and you know what you see on the ground. I think that would help with making the change and the difference there. As far as creatively, I think that we can continue to develop different campaigns. I think utilizing social media more, that will foster people to be able to respond and share and drive the message about whatever they're doing. I think really pressing the pedal on social media is so important, because that's where everything is going to right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. Those were very helpful and very insightful, and I appreciate your opinion and your long lens on this, because you've got your finger on the pulse of what's going on in this way. And so the ideas and the strategy that you shared with us, I was taking copious mental notes so that I could remember many of the things that you were saying that are important to realize in these changing times. I would like to say first and give a charge out and put a charge, I should say, out to our fellow AABLI alum. Now is the time for you to get excited, to get reinvigorated, and look towards seriously what you can do in the service area. As well as, don't forget about supporting AABLI. AABLI at this time really needs the support of all of ourselves, our alum that have benefited from the wonderful expertise and the wonderful people that we have met in our AABLI journey, such as our conversation today with Sarah. So I want to charge my class, number 5, to step up, contribute to AABLI, and also really think seriously about getting more involved on your boards and thinking of bringing more creative ideas, implementing your voice as people of color to make this change stick. Sarah,
and I'm going to say a charge to my class number 3, the challenge to class number 3 as well. And just like what you said, I believe that the collaborations are the way to go, because we need more than ever to pull together, work together, and I believe that we can do more in that regard.
All right. Well, Sarah, it's been a pleasure speaking with you this afternoon, and I am so grateful to have had this opportunity to chat with you, and I'm grateful to AABLI for this opportunity to participate in the AABLI Board Talks. Thanks a lot, and looking forward to seeing everybody soon.